Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Ramblin' Dabbler, episode 6. We are doing a deep dive today. I apologize for the preemption. The network had a special event. We saw Gettysburg in its entirety, followed by the premiere of Monkeyed Movies, so that was fun. Before we get to the main point, just one rambly little bit. Big ups to Eli Drake, LA Knight, for getting himself over in WWE, Hagerstown's own local boy from Maryland. And not since Damian Sandow have I seen someone just so naturally, organically get the fans' absolute adoration. And we know how they bungled that. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. One day, Damian Sandow and I will have that beard versus beard match to find out who is the world's greatest stand-in. But I cut all this shit out of the opening monologue, so we are not here all day. What is making my video? Okay, looks like we're back to normal. Shouldn't be glitchy like that. Thank you, Fiber. So, don't want to be here for 3 hours again. We do not want to do that again. 60 to 90 minutes is about right. And I present to you today's topic has been a writing exercise of mine for years, where when I have nothing come into my mind, I will just rebook the WCW invasion angle. And after many years, I've done a lot of research on this, on who was available. Like, we're not going to go with Adam Blompier's type of rebooking, Wrestling's own Chris D'Elia. He came to it at a stance of like, we're going to spend all the money in the world. We're going to get Hogan up front. We're going to get Nash up front. We're going to get Hall up front. No. They were getting paid a lot of money to not take bumps. So the rules of this alternate universe of what a successful WCW invasion angle would look like. It's who is available logically. I have when we get to people who they didn't sign, I will explain my logic behind them. And the Great Muta was one in particular. It appears he was available possibly for a one-year contract, July 01 to July 02. But Vince probably wouldn't go for it. And my hindsight every time makes the Great Muta beat Stone Cold for the title at SummerSlam. So then Kurt Angle could win it from him the next month on September 16th, 2001. So the Great Muta, like, that wouldn't happen. But every time I write it with the Great Muta in there, he's winning the title, and the great Kurt Angle, Great American feel good moment happens. So let's see. I believe I have a tab up, don't I? Yes. Right here is the people that WWE did sign. I'm not going to go over the whole list. You can read it there. You can find it yourself. And they only got like 3 names. There was Booker T, who they needed. Like, it was a no-go without Booker T. He was the world champion and the U.S. champion, both at the same time as the company going out of business. We had Diamond Dallas Page, who should have said no. That Stalker storyline should have said no. Bruce Prichard adores that Stalker storyline with The Undertaker, but it wasn't the correct fit for DDP. We've seen his wife. We've seen her naked. Her titties were in the 40-year-old virgin. Hot lady. Why he was stalking an Uggo like Sarah, no one bought that. We saw her in the special Playboy edition. And then later, when Steve Carell was talking to her on a speed date. So, on with the show. Oh, is it going to open there? It's opening in an inconvenient place. I suppose that is where it's going to open. Technical difficulties. Oh, I need to get that as well. The Simpsons technical difficulty dealing my Bob. I was talking about Damian Sandow earlier, and I did get to meet him actually the very last day of background acting that I had in Los Angeles. I met him. I was playing a wrestling fan. Fools paying me to be a wrestling fan. And he was one of the wrestlers there, along with Katie Lee Burchell. And my heart broke when I saw that she had a blue voucher. She was a background actor like me, but she was in the ring taking bumps. And that non-union blue voucher, I'm like, oh no, is she getting paid less money than I am for just sitting in the audience and cheering? And the stunt bump might have made her get paid more than me, but the fact that's debatable is just, that stinks, So let's start with WrestleMania X7. We have got, I think, the whole card except the main event here, and nothing changes really, except for the fact that in the tag team title match, we had 2 debuts, and I don't understand why we didn't have 3 debuts with Jerry Lynn could have came in on the Hardys' behalf, where Edge and Christian had Rhino come in for them. The Dudley Boys had Spike come in for them, but Edge and Christian, they got Lita to run in for them, and that just didn't make sense. WWE was getting away from hitting women at the time. Yes, that was something that they used to do regularly, and sorry, I could have set this up more intelligently, but we are learning. We're learning here. So the WrestleMania card, what happened? The right to censor was on their way out. They lost. Eddie won as he should have. Chris Jericho retained against Regal. Their feud continued as it will here. Chyna squashed Ivory, and she could have done it less cunty, but the laying down, like not even trying to pin her, that was the one thing that was a bridge too far for just making her look like a putz. I don't even remember who won. It was one of the big guys that won the hardcore title. That went back and forth so much. I can't keep track of it. The kickoff to the Angle Benoit feud, the McMahon versus McMahon. Mick Foley has said that he very much regrets turning down to do that match with Vince, and then they filled it in with Shane, and it worked out pretty well. Can I share this? Nope. Thought I could have made that easier on myself, but I couldn't. But of course, the one major difference that we have is in the main event. Stone Cold absolutely, positively cannot turn heel. We have a big invasion coming up. He wanted to turn heel. So, last minute, hey, we need you to lead WWE. We need you to be the main good guy. We need you to carry the flag for us here in the World Wrestling Entertainment. Please do not turn heel yet. We will get there for you, Stone Cold. But right now, we need you to be Stone Cold. Unfortunately, he was dead set on it, and the heel turn didn't even make sense at all because Vince McMahon just got his ass whipped, as John Goodman might say, and Vince just came out again and then made the big "I'm with Austin now," which was flimsy. Austin turning like that. So let's go ahead and get to the next month. We have a few changes on what happened. Let's start from the bottom up. This is just a card filler here. I would hope that the Dudleys would beat X Factor, but X-Pac did have some pull back there. That's how he got to be on the pre-show of WrestleMania. And I didn't make that slide because it was Grandmaster Sexay and Steve Blackman. It was 2 randos. I'm almost sure that's who it was. Scotty 2 Hotty was out injured, and then once he came back, Grandmaster Sexay did something. He was a jokester. He was a trickster. Some of us have heard the JBL shower story of him getting them back for. But anyways, on to the next match. We have the hardcore title. They were putting Rhino over big time, and Raven was a mainstay in that division, so that's why that's there. I changed around the European title a little bit. In this timeline, Eddie's going to keep it up until he is fired, and that is some hindsight 2020, making my storyline work out very well. I guess he was like, that's what got Eddie Guerrero to turn around, was him being fired at the end of June, at the end of May. And it was at that point he took a really good look at himself and decided that he wasn't one of those people who could drink or do drugs anymore. He was sober until his Grinch heart, enlarged too many times, took him out. So Eddie taking on a couple of people to defend his title. Angle Benoit, they will have their ultimate submission match as they did then. This one was fun. Does anyone remember the Marcus of Queensberry rules match? So Regal's going to win this. I forget if he did or not in real life, but basically Regal just made up the rules as they went along. He had this very prim and proper British lady sitting there at ringside, and after, like, no, this is illegal. No, it's a best out of 5. So that was fun, and the fact that he could just make up the rules, he should win the match and the title. He was the commissioner at the time. He served that role very well. And throughout this timeline, he will be always putting himself in the title picture because he's the commissioner. He can. Next up, we need Triple H to do something. So he's facing the Big Show because the Undertaker, it was between the Undertaker and Triple H of who would be in line for a shot at Austin's title after WrestleMania. So the Undertaker and Kane, they are going to win the tag team championships from Edge and Christian here. And Stone Cold and Shane McMahon in the main event. Austin is going to beat the ever-living shit out of Shane and put him out of action until November. The Invasion storyline as it went was just a continuation of the McMahon drama, and people did not want that at all. They wanted WCW versus WWF, but it just turned into more Vince's kids versus Vince, and no bueno. So, of course, Austin's going to retain. There's going to be some hope spots. Oh shit, the WCW is going to get our world title, but he's going to injure the shit out of Shane, and Shane's going to be out until November. He will be in the background, and I'm going to get a little bit in the weeds of Raws and SmackDowns as we go along. It'll stop after King of the Ring, I believe, but Shane's going to introduce a WCW president. He's going to hype it up. I've got a WCW president coming in tomorrow night. So when Shane is injured, that means the WCW president, the new man in charge, will be leading the fight against the Vincent K. McMahon army. And who would that man be? Well, it needs to be someone who is available and someone who is WCW through and through. Mr. Dusty Rhodes, baby. Now, let me tell you something. He's going to have some security with him. And because these pictures coming up isn't as easy as a web browser, I'm not going to search for 3-minute warning. And I said they didn't come into the company until a year later, but the Samoans were always welcome. Jim Cornette told a very funny story of when Vince was going to fire Rikishi, whatever his character name was at the time, probably Fat 2. And then he turned him into the Sultan, I suppose, after this meeting where he was going to fire Rikishi. But instead of firing Rikishi, he ended up signing Rosie and Jamal. This is back in, like, I guess, 96, 97, but they never debuted. So they've always been in the mix, always have a good relationship with the Samoans. So Dusty's bodyguards are going to be 3-minute warning, Rosie and Jamal. And that won't last long. We're going to, the following week, we will have the debut of Booker T. Dusty Rhodes is going to show up with 2 briefcases, one of each title, world title, U.S. title. And next week, the champ will be here. And Booker T will make a challenge for the following pay-per-view, the Judgment Day pay-per-view, which of course will be answered. WCW is just making a bunch of all or nothing wagers with WWE of, like, you can absolutely kill us right now if you do this, but you've got this on the line. You've got a segment of Raw and SmackDown on the line. We get to put on a tag team match. We get to put on an interview segment, so on and so forth. So Dusty Rhodes, 3-minute warning. Conan is going to come in the following week. Conan is one, Bruce Prichard tells this story on his podcast of how he accidentally disrespected K-Dog, as he was known at the time. And Prichard was unaware that K-Dog was his character name at the time. And they absolutely, like, needed someone like Conan, who was an upper middle card wrestler for the entire time he was there, kind of played with the main event a little bit. But he was someone the fans loved and absolutely got behind. And the fact that Bruce Prichard didn't immediately get on his knees and beg and apologize to him, especially because Conan is a manager type for many of the luchadors. That includes Rey Mysterio. Maybe we could have got Rey Mysterio way before we did. In this timeline, I didn't include that because I think he was one of the people getting WCW or Turner money there for a while. So that's not in the cards for this timeline. This is what the following pay-per-view would look like. Oh yes, Conan. He's going to take 3-minute warning. I need some running buddies. They still need some training wrestling, but they can be my heavy. So 3-minute warning. We'll go with them, and then one more debut. We want to trickle in some debuts one by one. The following week, Dusty needs someone to have his back, and who better than his son, Dustin Rhodes. So that brings we're getting the roster up. We're showing people familiar faces. They're getting involved. We're not forgetting about it. If you remember, fellow nerds who are 30 and 40-year-olds, they kind of just let WCW kind of not do anything for a while. Sometimes they would do run-ins, like Lance Storm did a run-in when they were in Canada, just very haphazardly. Lance is here, have him do a run-in, and that run-in never led to anything. So here is our following pay-per-view. We're going to have a slobber knocker, a big hoss match with a bunch of big guys. We're pushing Rhino to the moon. He's coming out on top. We have the women's title match. China's on her way out of the company. We just didn't hear about the women's title. Survivor Series, I think it was, that from the summer till Survivor Series, just, I don't know, it's kind of in limbo. And they knew damn well she wasn't signing. She was an emotionally, mentally fragile person. And Triple H doing Stephanie behind her back broke her. Triple H, if he doesn't feel guilt, he should. The way that she loved him and he left her, that was such a catalyst for her going one night in China. Doug Stanhope, I saw him, nearly his whole hour was watching the China porn. It was fantastic. Up here, we have a continuation of Angle versus Benoit. That will be the 2 out of 3 falls match. Taker will go against Jericho, and the veterans are both going to win. We are going to have Angle win. We are going to have Undertaker win. And William Regal, he ain't no match for Kane. Kane is going to take him down in probably short time because we want to put Kane over big time. The challenge that Booker T makes is to Ron Simmons, not Farouk, the U.S. and the world champion of WCW. You can take my title away. First African-American champion in the history, the man who held this exact belt, beaten Vader in Baltimore and then losing him. Was it in Baltimore again? I forget where, probably Atlanta. The pay-per-view did have a tag team turmoil match, which was won by Jericho and Benoit. So that's what's going to happen here. They're going to get a title shot tomorrow night, and they're going to win it from The Undertaker and Kane, who still hold it from last month. Main event. Why not? Steve Austin versus Triple H. Triple H would, in real life, get his injury the following night in the tag team match where he tore his quad. So that's it for Triple H in this timeline for a while, because he indeed got that injury in real life. Is this real life? Yes, David, it is real life. So we have next up the King of the Ring. Booker T is going to keep making wagers for WCW. We'll get more of the mid-carders and such debuting, but Booker T entered into the King of the Ring, and he's putting the U.S. title on the line every time. So once again, all or nothing. Take my titles away, or I am going to succeed at your promotion. You see, Booker T doesn't look like a bitch in this version, like he did in the real thing. Oh yes, Buff Bagwell was fired by this time. They had the Stalker storyline that I mentioned earlier. that Diamond Dallas Page was the stalker of the Undertaker's ugly wife, and it just fit much better for Buff. It should have been Buff. I'm the stuff. You're with this nasty biker. You need a man's man. So when he gets fired in real life, the Undertaker will just kill him like he did Muhammad Hassan, and he will never be heard from again, as he was. I heard him blaming other people for his addictions. I wonder how he's doing. I don't think he's in the DDP house anymore. So over to King of the Ring. Oh yes, Conan has been running roughshod over the WWF roster. He has taken people out. He took Eddie out good and held up the European title. So Conan and 3 Minute Warning, they are specifically targeting the Radicals. So they took out they take out Eddie first. In this match, the tournament final, or maybe it's just a match set up. Matt versus Perry Saturn for the vacant European title. They're going to beat the shit out of him again. And at some point, Conan will be the official European champion, probably. But he's just stealing it. He's like, I'm gonna face Matt here, and I'm taking the belt with me. It of course isn't officially sanctioned, so he shouldn't be taking the belt, but he's fucking taking it. So the official, unofficial European champion for a while is going to be Conan, as he and 3 Minute Warning fuck people up. And I believe they should come back at the end of the night, because there's another Radical, and Malenko wasn't doing anything. Malenko isn't used in here. At some point, he takes out Malenko. So yeah, Conan and 3 Minute Warning, the posse Big Samoans, are going to take out all the Radicals, and Conan will have a nice stolen belt. And as you see, I put that on Sunday Night Heat. That's leading into the show. Anything can happen. WCW is here. And the first match, more will happen. Light heavyweight champion Jeff Hardy will lose it to Jerry Lynn, who will then cut a promo about, you don't need to worry about WCW getting this title because they already have it. Defections, I believe, should be mid-card or below. Having the big defections like Stone Cold Steve Austin leading the Alliance, that didn't work for me, brother. He was Mr. WWF. So you're going to have Mr. WWF leading the fight against WWF. It was like Shane and Stephanie being in charge. It just felt like more McMahon horse shit, bullshit, shitty shit. Xbox still getting a check. I would hope that the APA and Kane beat them. King of the Ring matches. They took it down to just 3 matches this year. So I'm going to keep that instead of having what it would be like 7 matches with the larger bracket. We're not doing that here. So Angle beats Big Show. Booker beats Rhino, going to the finals for the U.S. title and the King of the Ring crown. We have a tag team title match. Regal has backdoored his way into beating Jericho and Benoit for the titles with his new young boy Tajiri. And the Dudleys are always a good choice for a title match. And here's actually where I messed up. As I was finishing this up, Rikishi is injured at this point. So they were trying to make something of Test. Test face, I don't know, Haku. The two places we have Rikishi, we'll just trade it over to his tag team partner at the time, Haku, who debuted at the Rumble as the reigning WCW Hardcore Champion. And then no one ever talked about that championship ever again. Finals, Kurt Angle versus Booker T. Booker T retains. He is the WWF King of the Ring. And this kicks off a whole bunch of wagers that they had. WCW is getting a lot by winning this tournament. And it agitates. They're getting segments. More people are debuting. And we're getting actual matches. So we've got the same main event as happened in real life. The Chris's versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. But instead of Booker T debuting and accidentally injuring Austin, he's already debuted. Hopefully you haven't hurt anyone on this so far, Booker. And yeah, we will have Conan come back with 3 Minute Warning and beat the fuck out of Benoit. And Benoit is gone. well, not gone. That would be what, 2006. The last we would hear from Benoit. Not hear of him. We hear of him all the time, but from him, that is the last we got from the Canadian Crippler. And why did someone who had such great matches have to make it so we have to feel bad about him? Why couldn't it be I don't know, Tommy Dreamer? Why couldn't it have been a Tommy Dreamer to do something horrible? No one's missing anything by deleting Tommy Dreamer's entire catalog. So over here to the big Invasion pay-per-view, we have Sunday night heat openers. So the wagers on this one are going to be who wins the most matches and who wins the main event for WCW getting their own show or maybe an hour of Raw and SmackDown. The network absolutely positively did not want one of the Raws or SmackDowns turning into WCW. They did not want that shit. And it took a while for them to get the Saturday night time slot, if I remember correctly. That's what turned into WWE Confidential, and I believe it was Access to begin. It was a live call-in show. Not as fun as Livewire. That I didn't realize they did that live at the time. It was so little adding to it that Livewire was live. Oh, it's in the name. Dumb fuck. Silly bastard. So we will split this 50-50. We're going in 1-1. The 4-man team of Mike Awesome, Lance Storm, Psychosis, and Chavo Guerrero is going to take out Edge, Christian, and the Dudley Boys. And this is going to be the start of the Edge and Christian split. This is where he's going to start showing resentment for his older brother until we stop calling them brothers and start just calling them friends. Canyon could take an ass whooping. And he made a bet with Artie. Artie had to make out with Blue Iris on the Stern show because he lost a bet to Canyon. So win for Rhino because we're putting him over big. We want to keep that momentum going. And we don't want to lose that. He does get injured towards the end of the year. I believe I have that timeline correctly when I stopped using him and when he actually got injured in real life and not just as an angle, a Karen angle. What a beautiful bitch face. She is a great heel. If only AEW actually had something for her to do or a reason for her to be there, then her Karen Jarrett, as she is now, would be justified. On to the actual pay-per-view. We will have X-Pac losing to Billy Kidman. He's X-Pac. I know he still thinks he's over, but he never changed his gimmick from DX. He's still DX. OSW Review called it, what was his gimmick? That was his gimmick, was just Daphne was not signed, but absolutely was available. Vince just got the pretty blondes. Like, he does not understand how people are attracted to non-blondes, especially 4 of them. So Daphne should come aboard. She is the anti-diva. Trish Stratus will lose this match by DQ when Daphne just loses her shit because Trish is pretty and she is jealous of her. That will be a whole angle going forward as Daphne starts to normalize herself more. Next match, going to be a no contest. The APA is going to give Palumbo and O'Hare the public enemy treatment. You guys want to be in this business? You're new. You think you were big shit? This could lead to a hardcore segment because Donnybrook. Next up, Conan. I have versus Rikishi. As I said, he is gone. So Haku, just put anyone there. Conan's winning. He's getting pushed. Same with Kurt Hennig. Kurt Hennig absolutely was available. He was over in Australia doing pay-per-views with Dennis Rodman. So they brought him in January, but they could have used him here as they desperately needed some star power over on the WCW side. After Buff Bagwell left, they only had 2 names. and they treated DDP like shit. They treated Booker like shit, so people viewed him as shit. 3-minute warning versus The Undertaker and Kane. Undertaker and Kane are going to win. They're going to give these boys a learning. Different from this one where they're just going to kick the shit out of them. Like, they have respect. Respect. They're, how many of the Samoans were in the Backstreet Crew, the anti-clique of The Undertaker? The Rikishi was in the Backstreet Crew, and Rosie looking like a chubby Roman right there. So Undertaker and Kane will win. Over here, we have William Regal going up against Dustin Rhodes. Dustin will take the win here, and I believe at this point, WWF can't win the most matches, but RVD will still put it over the top. We need WCW to look dominant instead of the 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1. It was even up until the main event of the actual Invasion. And here is the biggest reach I have for talent that we could acquire, but big if. Macho Man Randy Savage. We will go into this pay-per-view with a mystery man, the mystery third man, very much like Bash at the Beach. It'll be Austin, Angle, and Jericho, and you could go back and forth. It could be Undertaker and Kane, but in my mind, they were offering it to just the Undertaker, and he's like, "Fuck you! It's both of us or none. Me and my brother are on another level." So it'll be these three: Austin, Angle, and Jericho taking on Booker T, Diamond Dallas Page, and the Macho Man Randy Savage. Don't know what happened between him and Vince. I don't believe the Stephanie rumors, but those two had a falling out. Actually, there was talk that Macho actually called up to get Molly Holly a job. She was Miss Madness in WCW, and I believe it was Bruce Prichard once again saying, "And he called up. I know there's not a place for me, but if you could just take a look at Mona, she's a good one. She's a good egg." And of course, WCW will win. They need to look impressive instead of like utter fucking garbage like they did. And any big yes, at this point, Angle takes the fall. I think it should be Angle because we've got an Angle building with Angle and Booker T, where Angle just cannot beat Booker no matter how much he tries. And I do not have any champions listed in here because there will not be a championship match in this version of Invasion. Rob Van Dam won the hardcore title from Jeff Hardy, but there's no reason to have a title match there. We are going to have a lot of title matches at the next pay-per-view, which is SummerSlam. And nearly all but two matches are title matches. At this point, the APA will have gotten the tag team titles because they're badass. They should have more runs. They should have all the runs. Mike Awesome and Lance Storm, they're going to win that title. Lance Storm was underutilized, and what a gimmick they gave him. The most boring man gimmick. Way to get someone over. Lance's boring gimmick. Mike Awesome, I think that he's related to Hulk Hogan's wife because they always talk about Horace Hogan being Hogan's nephew, but I'm almost positive I've heard that Mike Awesome was a cousin of Horace, and Hogan never gave a flying fuck about Mike Awesome there. So I suppose he was on the piece of shit wife's side of the family. New tag team champions. WCW is going to take 2 in a row. This whole bottom row, they're going to take the whole and into the second row. Psychosis. We were missing a masked wrestler. That was such a big part of WCW. And we didn't get it when they came over. There were random cruiserweights. But another thing is the 18x18 ring. I was hoping AEW would debut with an 18x18 ring instead of their 20x20 because it looks faster. It looks different. Anything you can do to be different. Having the ring ropes not be ropes. WWF was the only one to have a 20x20 ring and still use ropes by the 80s, I believe, because they also promoted boxing and they just did the same ring for both affairs. Whereas many places, many different territories had the 18x18 ring, and used elevator cables instead of actual ropes. Conan, I'm covering his opponent. It's Jericho, I believe I made it. Yeah, Conan versus Jericho. Jericho's having a bad time. He pizzaed when he was supposed to French fry, and he's going to lose this match. Here we've got a lot of gold on the line. We'll have a ladder match. Tag team on tag team. Hardy Boys versus Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn. They will be coming in as the WCW tag team champions because, come on, we needed to get them off Palumbo and O'Haire. Palumbo, he stuck around for a while, and O'Haire apparently had some brain things going on that he couldn't keep it straight. That gimmick that he had where he was your conscience, like the devil on your shoulder, that was a fun gimmick. Those promos were great. He had Roddy, but couldn't put it together. So, of course, the Hardys, they're also just losing title after title to WCW, and that's the streak they're on. Poor Hardys. They're losing. Matt's losing his light heavyweight championship. Jeff's losing his hardcore championship. Going around the waist. Jerry Lynn lightweight. Rob Van Dam hardcore, because that just makes sense. And Jerry Lynn already had the title. That's the one he's seeking. That'll be in the contract. That I had the light heavyweight championship. I want it again. Intercontinental Championship. Kane still has it from when he beat William Regal several pay-per-views ago. And we've got our man, Kurt Hennig, bringing the championship back home where it belongs. Intercontinental Champion Kurt Hennig is going to beat Kane, probably in some underhanded way, because we want Kane to look like a badass, but we want Hennig to have the title, so he'll do some heel shit. Undertaker is going to beat Goldust. I believe that's our first of the night for WWF. Yeah, Undertaker is going to be the man who can make it happen. I can't see DDP beating the Rock in their first match. And we need a reason for their second match. Like, he's going to be begging, I can beat him. Where the Rock would just, he wouldn't give a fuck. I suppose if he lost, maybe. Yeah, he was just a nuisance to the Rock. Whereas DDP, people's champ. That's the match people want to see. If he was pushed right, DDP could have been, but he was a stalker to an ugly woman with his beautiful wife at home, who we never heard from. WCW Championship match. Booker T versus Kurt Angle. Booker's going to take it. And Macho's not winning the world title, but what a main event. Double main event. And this time I think it actually does mean two main events rather than double main event. No main event. Stone Cold Steve Austin and Macho Man would have an amazing match. People blame Jim Ross for not bringing him aboard, but he was just following orders. I have a hard time believing that Jim Ross wouldn't want the Macho Man Randy Savage to teach young folk the way of the ring instead of the flippy doos, as we've come to do. The flippy doos, WCW actually, their cruiserweight division, their luchadors and so on, they helped inspire the flippy do wrestling that we see today. And it was starting to become a thing towards the end of WCW, where the independents were just flippy do wrestling. And AJ Styles was in WCW for a short amount of time. And he, of course, became Mr. TNA. And then when Ambrose flopped the world title, they gave it to AJ, and he just became all reliable after a while. And AEW, they think that Ambrose is just the greatest thing since sliced foreheads, but he turns off a lot of people. He shouldn't be doing whatever he wants. He needs help. He needs an adult. On to Unforgiven. So WCW won the right to have every other month pay-per-view, but they're actually going to concede to come back in October for Halloween Havoc and Starrcade the following month. Keep up with the tradition. It fucks up the pay-per-view schedule for each company less, doing it that way. So we've got the WCW Tag Team Champions. Somehow the Hardys pull it out. The year before, they just did the Conquistadors angle with Edge and Christian. So it's too soon to pull a conquistadors pretending that they are Mexican wrestlers now. But somehow Sneaky Hardys are able to get the WCW tag titles off of Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn, who still has the light heavyweight title. Spike takes a hell of an ass whooping. Oh, I should have pulled that clip. I was thinking of, oh no, I just don't want to show any WWE clips. As a small time streamer, they strike anyone for anything. And OSW Review and Marky D123, they found a workaround, and they've got a certain amount of audience that bigger streamers are able to get away with more things, whereas someone with next to no following, a little bit harder when they're like, hey, they took our shit. Conan's going to lose the European title. So here's my logic in the crossover matches here. They are the WWF champions. They have to make title defenses a certain amount of time. But the WCW wrestlers who are WCW champions, they don't need to make an appearance. The WWF doesn't want to make an appearance. They want to win their title back. Whereas the Hardys, they are WCW champions, so we're going to defend that shit. Why not? Against William Regal putting himself in the title picture once again, you cheeky bastard. Hardys win. Jerry Lynn wins. Conan wins. Up here in the World Tag Team title match, this is going to be the break of Edge and Christian. This is where Christian turns on Edge. He is going to join WCW. We need some familiar faces over there on WCW, and Christian is a highly entertaining person. So they're going to lose this title match. Christian has had it. He breaks. He turns on Edge, and they'll be fighting and feuding for a few months, and it'll culminate at the December pay-per-view, as you'll see in a few moments. The hardcore title match. They wanted off Rob Van Dam. They're throwing the Big Show his way, but Rob Van Dam is a crafty bastard. He's going to win that. They're trying to do something with Test. Unfortunately, the Twitter is Test still dead, hasn't been active for a while. So if you're trying to keep track on if Andrew Martin is still no longer with us, we will have to look at other sources. But here at WWF Unforgiven, they're trying to give him a little push, and being in the ring, like, this is what I find out of a good booker, as Jim Cornette will talk about, and why Tony Khan isn't one. You want someone experienced in the ring like Kurt Angle to go against Test and give him some experience. That's what Kazarian could have done, and Christopher Daniel could have done every week on AEW, the way that Greg Valentine, Bobby Eaton, and many others did on WCW. But Tony Khan doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. APA and The Undertaker and Kane are pissed at each other. They lost the tag team titles. Undertaker is the one that's keeping the line, not letting WCW get the better of him. He has yet to lose to WCW yet, so he's going to take them to task for that. The Rock going against Chris Jericho. They had a feud in the actual timeline, so we're going to carry that over. Then we have the world title match. Angle wins it. Angle is also the U.S. champion at this point. After he loses to Booker T 2 pay-per-views in a row, he comes out on their section of Raw or their Saturday night show, and he's like, I will sign to WCW if I cannot beat Booker T for the title tonight. But Booker T will give him a U.S. title shot, and Angle will win it. It'll be 2 Booker, 1 Angle, but Angle won the last one. The final act, Angle is the U.S. champion and the WWF champion on September 16th, 2001. And what an entertaining feud he and Stone Cold had. Stone Cold also had an entertaining feud with Booker T, but he beat the shit out of him in a grocery store. Booker T was not an equal. He was just a punching bag to our friend Stone Cold. And these people are going to be competitive. It's just the likes of who have I mentioned? I don't think I've mentioned anyone on the pay-per-view so far. That would be the little bitch like the main WCW guys were. Another pay-per-view coming. 3-minute warning. They're after Invasion, they're in jail. They'll be coming back in December. There is no 3-minute warning. Conan's heavies have gone away. They've gone too far. And Conan, he's just manipulating them. He's having them do all the dirty work, and then he can come in. Like, it wasn't me, man. It was my boys. I don't control everything my boys do. They're their own people. So Conan on his own, while 3-minute warning is in jail for a few months. And we have our first World Championship Wrestling pay-per-view. We've got a women's match. We've got their girl Daphne against WWE's Ivory. And Ivory, once again, good person, experienced person to put in with a newbie. And Ivory will take a liking to Daphne and try to mentor her with comical results, hopefully. Next up, Brian Adams and Brian Clark. They are a shining example of why your skill matters less than who you're friends with. Brian Adams was a member of the Undertaker's Backstreet Crew, the Anti-Clique, and Brian Clark, they had both been around for like 10 years in wrestling. And by that point, you'd think you would know a thing or two about wrestling. But that awful match with The Undertaker and Kane got them sent to developmental, which Brian Clark was like, fuck that, I know what I'm doing. Brian Adams is like, I like paychecks. Sure, I'll go down and do what you want me to do. So hopefully they do not hurt our tag team champions for realsies, Lance Storm and Mike Awesome. And by this point, the Dudley Boys have beaten the Hardy Boys for the WCW tag team title. The Hardy Boys just can't keep a hold of that fucking title. Just like Jeff in real life and in our real life timeline, won the Intercontinental title on a SmackDown, lost it to Raw, both to Triple H. And there were several other instances. Oh, actually, I'm thinking of Edge, that one instance where he won the Intercontinental title at a house show against Jeff Jarrett. And then 1 or 2 days later at the pay-per-view, unannounced, loses it right back to him. So this is going to be our plunder match. Dusty Rhodes loved himself a good plunder match, baby. And we are going to get in the garbage as the Dudley Boys fend off the former champions, Rob Van Dam, Jerry Lynn. We need more masked people. Super Callow probably wasn't doing anything. Just fill anyone in with Psychosis's tag team partner here. So a lot of ECW regulars, as they should be in a plunder match. We need the ECW guys for the plunder, baby. He got a bicycle. And Tommy Dreamer and Crowbar. We've got Daphne. I believe both Daphne and Crowbar was a very good worker. I believe he was signed by WWE. I don't know if he got anything beyond like dark matches and jobber shit. And Tommy Dreamer, I already made the comment. If Tommy Dreamer pulled a Chris Benoit, we wouldn't miss anything by never watching a Tommy Dreamer match again. Christian debuting, well, not debuting. He's been on their TV shows, but pay-per-view debut for WCW. Sorry, Chavo. Some must die so others may live. Hardcore championship match. Perry Saturn is here to exact revenge. He's been able to get the championship, and he wants to beat the shit out of Conan for beating the shit out of all the radicals. But sorry, Perry, you're gonna lose. Conan, another piece of gold, tattered piece of gold, but we want to keep Conan as hot as we can. For someone as popular as him, as high up on the card, not a mid card, an upper mid card, lower main event guy. We want Conan to stick around. U.S. Championship match, Kurt Angle versus Canyon. They want that championship back. He's got both titles still, the WCW U.S. title and the WWF World title. But he will retain. Canyon gets injured in a couple of days wrestling Randy Orton. That's for realsies, so he's out of our timeline. Intercontinental Championship match. Dustin is going to take it. And Kurt Angle had a nice little run. only 2 months, but a nice little run. And we are sending Dustin up the card. Strap match. We have got a strap match. DDP will win this one because it's the WCW pay-per-view. Maybe there's screwy things afoot. The Brahma Bull Rope match, as The Rock calls it, his specialty, according to WWE.com. So they will be 1-1 after Diamond Dallas Page wins this match. The main event, Booker T taking on Macho Man Randy Savage. Macho Man main eventing helps sell the card. We want to. I imagine they probably only have him for a year, maybe 2 before he backs off of wrestling again. We want to use Macho Man to his maximum instead of never speaking to him again. And he releases a rap album. I need to look up that rap album. I think I heard DJ Cumberband sampling some of his rap album. DJ Cumberband really likes to sample the Macho Man Randy Savage, and a DJ Cumberband song I heard earlier today. I'm pretty sure, like, it didn't sound like any promo I've ever heard. I think it was from the Macho Man rap album. So that's something to look into, including his diss track challenging Hulk Hogan to an actual real life fight. Survivor Series. We're getting through it, folks. We're about an hour in, and we are, 4 more pay-per-views left. I'm trying not to be sticking on this. This is like our pilot episode, like the Dabbleverse was. Trying something new. If anything sticks, we'll do more. And I do have a variation of the Dabbler's Shuli experiment that will be shorter format than usual. I almost did it this past Tuesday in a longer format, and I'm very happy I didn't, because no, it's a shorter format. Hopefully I'll have that out to you Thursday, Friday, until I run out of material. But I am working on that. I am kind of nervous about that concept, but it does really make me laugh, the take I have on that. Women's title match. I lost track of it. We haven't seen it in a while. One of these women are champion. Trish is going to take it. Title unification. It's time that we start getting rid of all these fucking belts. We got too many belts. We got 2 sets of tag team champions. Let's have one between both companies. Awesome and Storm losing to the Dudley Boys. They will be the wrestling tag team champions. Only 1 set of tag team champions going forward, and it is the Dudley Boys, as it should be. It makes sense. APA would make sense, but here it's the Dudleys taking it. We have light heavyweight champion Jerry Lynn taking on Tajiri, and Tajiri should put on a good match. Him and Jerry Lynn are very familiar from ECW, but Tajiri will not get this one. Jerry Lynn retains. Conan's got to fight someone. Might as well make it Hardcore Holly. Maybe we'll make it a comedy match and an angle where Crash comes in as well, and Crash and Hardcore end up winning the Hardcore title from Conan, but then fighting again amongst themselves. Conan comes out on top and leaves with it anyways. Back when 24/7 was fun, before they brought it back and had no fun whatsoever with it. European Championship. I have it over on Christian. Is it on Edge at this time? They haven't had a match. It should be Edge as the European champion currently, and Christian's going to take it from him. I put that on the wrong spot. European champion Edge goes down to his brother Christian, and next month they will have a ladder match, and it will end their feud for the time being. They were still trying to make Albert a thing at the time. They were trying lots of stuff, and some people got over, many more people than did nowadays, especially when you see how they treat LA Knight when he gets over himself and they just bitch him out. Might as well be Wardlow, the way he's gotten over, and they got him way under after he got over. So we just need a challenger for Dustin Rhodes to look impressive. Big Survivor Series elimination match. I think it's about time that WCW got a win. So the top talent of Undertaker, Kane, yeah, Undertaker should be one of those left standing, keeping together his track record of not falling to a WCW wrestler, despite almost everyone else on the roster getting at least one L. Undertaker, Kane, Big Show, Jericho, and The Rock, who are indeed still feuding. Maybe they're able to coexist. Maybe they get the other one eliminated through infighting. But they will take on the top guys over in WCW of Booker, DDP, Kurt Hennig, Rob Van Dam, and the Macho Man. Angle's losing the title. Going back to Austin, we needed on Austin for the big WrestleMania showdown. But a nice little, once again, like 60 days, 2 months. Angle's held the title. He's been very dominant, and he's only losing to other top talent, such as Stone Cold Steve Austin. And around this time, Shane McMahon will also make a return. Excuse me. Shane McMahon will also make a return, and Dusty Rhodes doesn't want his help. He's doing just fine on his own. So Shane's going to start messing with him, including bringing in Ric Flair to mess with Dusty. And Dusty, he's going heel at this point. So is Dustin, and they've had enough of Booker T holding this world title. So we've got Booker T with Flair in his corner versus Dustin with Dusty in his corner, main eventing. But we've been starting at the bottom. So let's start at the bottom of 3-minute warning. They're out of jail. They're back, and they're ready to kick ass. And who better than Tommy Dreamer and Crowbar? They will murder them, and they will look impressive, and they're back on to being a big thing again. Oh, I didn't put them. Whatever. They'll be in the mix as they go forward. We've got a women's title match. Daphne challenging Trish. This time she loses outright to Trish, not by disqualification, by flipping out and having a mental breakdown like Chad Zumach. Time to get the light heavyweight championship and the cruiserweight championship together. We combined tag titles last month. This month, only one person coming out on top. Psychosis held it for a while. And Shane Helms, got over big in the locker room. He won the respect. He was the first WCW wrestler. The APA picked up his bag from the segregated WCW section, brought it over to the WWF section. You're one of us now. You've got our respect. So the first of the unified cruiserweight light heavyweight championships will be the Hurricane. Then over here, Edge and Christian ladder match. Yeah, Christian's just going to hold this for a month. That last one was a misprint. Edge is going to take this. Their feud ends for now, and Christian goes and is an entertaining complainer somewhere else. Kurt Hennig lost the title to Lance Storm on a television show, and here's his rematch, but Storm is going to retain. Then we have the unified tag team champions of wrestling, the Dudley Boys, taking on their old rivals from ECW. Actually, did they cross paths with Jerry Lynn? They might have crossed paths, ships in the night, by the time that Jerry Lynn got there. But yeah, now a one-on-one match. The Dudley Boys will take this one, continue being the dominant force in wrestling. Hardcore championship match. Macho's going to take it. Macho's going to have a little run with the hardcore title. Give him a little tattered gold. He needs some wins after jobbing to some people. Conan's had a nice run, but time to go down to the mid-card rather than the upper mid-card. I think you might be losing for a little while. Maybe your heavies turn against you and turns one of you face. Final match with DDP and The Rock. It's got to be The Rock. Got to be. Sorry, DDP. You're not winning in the last one. You're not getting more than The Rock. This is still the World Wrestling Federation overall under that umbrella you're in. And Vince would not fucking allow that shit. Main event, as I mentioned, Booker T versus Dustin Rhodes. Dusty versus Flair in a callback to the original Starrcade. And what a combination Booker T and Dustin Rhodes made. They were an incredible tag team together. Many entertaining moments on Raw, but very much played for a goof. This was it lasted a couple of years, didn't it? but Dustin Rhodes does not get the amount of credit that he deserves for how entertaining, how good in the ring. The Gold Dust character, it's its own thing. He wanted to get out of the shadow of his dad, and he can step in and out of the shadow of Dusty all he likes, all he wants to with his different face paints and makeup. And now he does half. That's kind of funny. All the half face paints in AEW. It's a lot of them. At least 3 that I can think of off the top of my head. So we're going into the home stretch now. We're not too far from the big blow off of the invasion, and we have the unified cruiserweight champion, the Hurricane. I hope he would turn into the Hurricane in this timeline. What an amazing happenstance of Gregory Helms becoming the Hurricane and then having his news persona in the back. It was so much fun. He's going to beat Spike Dudley. We've got the tag team champions against a random tag team. If I remember in real life, the random tag team held the title at this time. Spike and Taz, I think it was tag team champions, and they jobbed to the Dudleys at the pay-per-view. But yeah, so here's my random tag team challenging the fellows instead of their random tag team challenging the Doodleys. Women's championship match. Yeah, Trish is going to take it. She's going to be dominant. Ivory is sticking up for Daphne. Over here, the European champion Edge taking down William Regal. Regal always putting himself in the title picture, especially for the European title. He wants that belt. We haven't had Stone Cold face the Undertaker yet, and Undertaker's been on a hot streak, so that just makes sense. And setting up the big title unification, Booker T wins the Royal Rumble to challenge Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania with 2 months build, unifying one more big title, the title, coming up at WrestleMania. But we can't get there quite yet because we have one more pay-per-view in the way, and it is a WCW branded one. And this is the one that the New World Order debuted in. And so in our timeline, that's where they debut once again. NWO No Way Out. It was a fun little... And it was already named that. It was already named No Way Out before the NWO was contracted to come in. So this will be part of Shane bringing in Flair, bringing in the NWO. He's fucking with Dusty. And at this WCW sold out in February before WrestleMania, Flair and Dusty are going to get into the ring with Shane as the referee. Excuse me. I got to use that mute button more often. I talk about it, but I never actually do it. We got Conan versus Kurt Hennig. I believe Hennig is still going to be going up the ladder, so he gets the win. You had a nice run, Conan. You were on the top of the mid-card, bottom of the main event, but it's mid-card time for you, Conan, going forward. Kurt Angle lost the U.S. title to Chris Jericho on an episode of Raw or SmackDown or whatever the fuck. Well, not whatever the fuck. It's not going to be Velocity or Heat. It's going to be one of the 2 main shows. And DDP is trying to take it off of him, but he's not going to do it. Not gonna do it. It's the church lady. Not gonna do it. DDP. Cruiserweight champion Helms taking on Christian, looking to get a win, but Helms is going to be getting a big push at this time, as he did in real life. Like, he got a win against The Rock on Raw, and they just really didn't know what to do with him after that. He was massively over. I love the chokeslam. I think they say that Shawn Michaels spoke up to get the Hurricane to stop doing the choke slam. And that's just very unfortunate that he did that. Then we have the Outsiders debuting to take the tag team title off the Dudley Boys. And that will set up a tag title match with Hall and Nash at WrestleMania instead of Nash sitting with his thumb up his ass while his 2 buddies have a single match, since they were such a recognizable tag team for so long. Intercontinental Champion Lance Storm, his reign is coming to an end as Rob Van Dam gets the Intercontinental title. Hardcore champion Macho Man putting over Dustin Rhodes. We're pushing him, despite the fact that he just lost his world title match a couple of months ago. We still want Dustin Rhodes to be strong, and Macho is in the twilight of his career. He's here to put people over and not get too far under by putting too many people over. Main event, Hulk Hogan. It's time to give it up, brother. You want a big celebrity heading into WrestleMania. You don't want nobodies. And Booker T shuts him down. It would probably be a big NWO schmaz. You really don't want a fucked finish on a pay-per-view main event. But this is really the only one in my timeline that I would even propose such a thing of possibly having a completely fucked finish rather than a Booker T straight win over Hulk Hogan, so that he doesn't have a loss going into WrestleMania against The Rock. That would help him remain strong to just have a fucked finish rather than straight up lose to the man, Booker T, the King of the Ring, the Royal Rumble winner. He is going over strong. Just imagine if WWE put any type of that effort into putting over a WCW personality, any one of them. So we have WrestleMania on 2 different cards. This is going to be a big 4-hour night. 6-hour nights. What the fuck were they thinking when they made 6-hour WrestleManias? The women are at the end of this 8-hour long day, including the pre-show. I wonder if the audience will be dead. Trish is going to lose the title to WCW's Jazz. 10 Cruiserweight Battle Royal. I wrote the names down somewhere, but 5 WCW, 5 WWE. Gregory Helms is going to come out on top. I didn't feel like grabbing all the stills, but 5 of the Cruiserweights from either, and a retainer, one of those words for the Hurricane or the non-Hurricane. Such like Austin, like on the fly, made fun of his Green Lantern tattoo, and that's how the Hurricane came to be. Excuse me just a moment. See, DSP, that is how you do mouth noises. You excuse yourself and you make the mouth noises off mic. Jazz wins. Hurricane wins. Big tag team showcase, 8-man tag. I don't give a shit who wins. It's WWF's big night, so probably Team WWF with the Dudleys and the Hardys versus the new tag team of Lance Storm and Christian, and the West Hollywood Blondes. Billy Gunn defects over to WCW to be with his best friend forever, Chuck Palumbo, and his pretty, pretty hair. Didn't look as pretty when he dyed it bleach blonde, but that's the pretty hair. William Regal, he thinks he can take the Intercontinental title off of Rob Van Dam. He can't. Win for Rob. Then we have the hardcore title. Dustin Rhodes is going to beat Kane. Dustin Rhodes, as I said, getting pushed to the moon. And hopefully Kane is still looking strong at this time, unlike what WWF did to him over time, making him look not strong despite that look. Looking like that. Governor Jacobs looking humongous. European champion Edge is going to take out Conan. The tag team champion's going to remain with the outsiders. So let's see. We've got a WCW champion, another WCW champion, another WCW champion, another WCW champion, a WWF champion. Okay, I was thinking this was their big winning night more than I actually made it. The APA may need to kick the outsiders' ass just to so this can be a celebration. But since we will be doing a brand split after this, it does make sense to do a 50-50 booking much more than it did at the Invasion, in which it made no sense whatsoever to do 50-50 booking. WCW needed to be put over huge, and they absolutely were not. And we have 6 more matches to go on this card, and then we're going to call it a day. Thank goodness we're only a little over an hour instead of 3 hours long on this pilot episode. Thursdays are for experimental content. Monday and Tuesdays are our co-host auditions, and we're going to do some gameplay on Sunday. So our top 6 matches. DDP is going to lose to Triple H. Macho Man is going to lose to Kurt Angle. Both those should be fantastic matches. DDP was ostracized for rehearsing his matches ad nauseum, and that's what they do nowadays. Like, he was actually ahead of his time, but that practice of not listening to the crowd is kind of hindering the guys nowadays, as they're kind of like a middle school theater student looking around, not really sure what to do because something went just a little bit awry. WWF wins. WWF wins again. What an incredible match that could be if Angle could have got a chance to go against Macho. Chris Jericho is going to beat Kurt Hennig, retain the U.S. title. Undertaker, he's got to beat Flair, just like he did in real life. Flair's just getting back into the swing of things, and he lost way more matches than he won. He was made to look the bitch many time. Then double main event time, which means no main event. Rock beats Hogan. So yeah. The first page, there was some intermixed kind of WCW leaning wins, but here at the top, World Wrestling Federation. And what an incredible experience that was of The Rock and Hulk Hogan switching gears for the live crowd to do a little bit of a different match than they were planning to do. And the main event, Booker T going over big. Booker T will beat Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that heel turn Austin wanted to do a year ago, this starting in January, well, really starting with his feud with Kurt Angle, was the chance to find a way to turn this anti-hero into a villain once again, because how we cheer him when he does anti-hero shit. It is really difficult to turn someone like that. He's just got to start attacking your favorites like Kurt Angle after 9/11. Perfect way to choose someone to get to boo you. And that will be his heel turn. After this, Brock Lesnar debuted the next day on Raw, right? Or was it the year after? I'd have to look that up. If he debuted this year, he should go to WCW because they need some more top guys. And like the boring segment where they made the brand split with Flair and Vince McMahon, there would be some tedious segments as they untie the knot that the two organizations are in. They will share the tag titles. They will share the world title, but then all the rest are exclusive. WWF will have the women's division, and the WCW will have the cruiserweight division. The hardcore title, being that it's like possession is 9/10 of the law with that title, maybe even 10/10 of the law with that title. WCW is going to keep it. This is where I give myself a giggle. The WWF still has the U.S. Championship, and WCW still has the Intercontinental Championship. And Vince McMahon cares about his title belt more than he cares about Chris Jericho. So he gets officially traded to WCW because Vince wants that Intercontinental title back, and gets Rob Van Dam along with it. So that was over an hour of 12 pay-per-views by WCW versus NWO, a rebooking that all of us nerds have done at some point. But over the years, I kept making revisions and doing more, adding on to it, and doing research into this, probably more than most of you nerdos out there. I am King Nerdo. Does King Nerdo spit out eggs like at Mario? So we go into the next year with Booker T as the man. At some point, he will lose that title in the year because he's held that WCW belt for a long time, and he just got the unified title, and he's facing everyone. If I am correct, yeah, Brock debuted this year. He still gets the title. There's an in-between champion, but we're getting far away. We're a year into fantasy. Once we go into year 2, we're just so far into fantasy, we can't even make correlations to real life. So I see Booker losing the title to an interim champion. Jericho's a good choice, who then gets murdered by Brock Lesnar. Well, that was another test episode, another pilot episode of the Ramblin' Dabbler. We will be back to co-host auditions on Monday and Tuesday, another Dark Side Monday, another rotation on Tuesday. I really had fun with Ryback. I don't know if he'll be back this week, but he'll be back soon. And his lol cow status is growing. Just this morning, I got a video on YouTube of Jim Cornette tearing him an asshole once again for thinking that the whole internet is against him. Ryback is transforming into Darkside Phil before our eyes. It's absolutely amazing. Okay, the episode 3 will go behind a paywall. We'll see if this one goes behind a paywall. Yeah, I don't like episode 3 so much. Maybe these pilot episodes that I don't have the kinks worked out of will keep going behind a paywall. It's too soon for me to get the paywall, honestly, but I want to put that one over there. I don't want everyone to see it. I want them to see my better produced spinoff. I don't want to promise it this week, but it would be better if I got that spinoff out sooner than later. We are going to play XCOM War of the Chosen on Sundays, and then probably throw one behind the paywall. Like I'm imagining 3 hours of a game stream. That seems about proper. Whereas this talking horse shit, 60 to 90 minutes, and I am in that, getting ready for the sign off so we don't go on for 3 fucking hours just talking again. I'll try not to do that, but I can, because I'm rambling and I'm dabbling in different types of podcasting, seeing what fits. I like the reaction style video. No one is doing the co-host audition type of react content. And since I'm here on the way out, like, subscribe, share, interact in the stream. Oh, I'm just a ball of energy this shill segment, aren't I? I still haven't been to Party City to get those noisemakers. They would bring it up a notch. And hopefully as I get better at the Photoshop and the iMovie, I will be able to get some different stuff out there more often. This has been the Ramblin' Dabbler backdoor pilot episode. Just like Joey, Matt LeBlanc on Married with Children. You didn't want it, you didn't ask for it, but here it was. Rambling about wrestling. Thank you for coming. Now go away.